Hello everyone, it's Events Body here, finally coming back to you. I was away for quite a long time, been very busy with life, COVID restrictions and lockdowns in the past. Everything was going crazy, so didn't get the chance to do any videos. I got lazy as well and whatnot. But I kept up the training, kept up the client sessions online and everything else, but I did not have time to design any YouTube videos and to let you guys know. I'm sorry about that, but here we go. So the first topic of 2023, I just want to point out a few things in regards to new science, in regards to hypertrophy, muscle building, and what's new out there and what's not. So newest science research, obviously every year there's something new. Every year they're finding out new things and how to grow muscle the best as possible. I think it's a lot of that is also trial and error. You guys will see what works for you, what doesn't. But these are some of the things that may maximize your growth potential for now. Couple of points. Uh, we're talking about now rep ranges. We're talking about cellular swelling on cellular level. We're talking about mechanical stress. We're talking about even just not just the muscle but the fascia. So all these things are very important for us to talk about before we start creating a whole picture and what's going on in the muscle and how to maximize the hypertrophy or growth of that muscle tissue. Couple of things, as I said, rep ranges. New research now has found that it doesn't matter what rep range you do, as long as there's volume in your work. Rep range is not as important as it is in terms of the volume. So if you're doing, let's say, 30% or 30% of your repetition max, that type of repetition is high, you can still grow. You can also grow on 80 to 90% of your RM. So that's a very, very high loads with low amount of repetitions. Also, you can grow. The key is to do the volume. Okay, so volume your work, guys. The more volume you've got in your program, the higher chance you're gonna be, higher chance of you having hypertrophy, and higher chance of you succeeding in that. So volume is key. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing is, I talked about this in other videos before, but because it's 2003, I want to start fresh and I want to start posting more videos each week, hopefully this time. So let's start fresh. So the second point is cellular swelling. So we all know what cellular swelling is. In gym code, that's a pump. Okay, so you're achieving a pump, and currently science said that it's found that pump is very, very essential to the growth of the muscle. Now, in regards to that, I just want to read a few things out. The reason why we require the pump, our bodies need to have oxygen, blood, testosterone, IGF into the muscle. So the best way to do that and send that into the muscle is through the pump. So a lot of cellular fluid and everything else that goes in with it. This is how we create that environment in the muscle to create growth. So it's very, very important for you to achieve those pumps, and how are you going to do that? Well, a couple of things. More than a couple of things, actually. We want to achieve pump by increasing the volume. So volume of your work will also make sure that you have enough pump in that muscle. Carbohydrates, obviously. So everyone noticed that when you're on low carbs, you might tend to have less of a pump. So carbohydrate intake within the training periods, the volume of work, use of BFI bands, as you know, I'm gonna do the video purely on BFI bands, but use of BFI bands, blood flow restriction bands, it's greatly going to increase that pump. Research, again, scientific evidence now shows that BFI bands work even on 20% of your repetition max. So you can actually grow muscle just on 20% repetition max. So BFI bands are great. Supplementation, so we're talking about agmatine sulfate, we're talking about citrulline, we're talking about all the supplements that may increase nitric oxide. And as you know, nitric oxide increases the blood vasodilation, basically. So the vessels open up, so it allows the more blood flow into the muscle. So that's one way of achieving the hypertrophy. We talked about rep range, and we talked about the pump. So rep range, like I said, it does not matter. It's just the volume. You're talking about, 20 sets per body part per week, roughly. So you're talking about maybe doing chest twice a week. Maybe you're doing 10 sets on one day and 10 sets on the other. You might do 15 on one and 5 on the other. You might do it all in one day. It depends on how you respond to growth. Everyone's different. So I'm giving you a rough estimate on number of sets that you could be doing. Arnold Schwarzenegger was known to do 30 sets. So a huge amount of volume. There are a lot of other bodybuilders in the fitness industry that did less volume, but a lot more intensity. Again, that I'm not saying it doesn't work, but what I'm saying is that you still need that volume. You still need to hit your chest a lot more than 1 or 2 sets. Within majority of people. Okay, again, with high intensity training, like the ones that Dorian Yates did, you are increasing chances of injury as well. So you want to also train smart. So we talked about this was off topic, but we talked about hypertrophy in regards to pump. We're talking about rep ranges. What other things do we need to know so we can put all these together? Another thing that I talk about, and I talked about in my last videos before, but I just want to start fresh, and I want to make sure that you guys understand what's going on, is to talk about the lactic acid buildup and to talk about mechanical stress as one of the ways to maximize hypertrophy, but also talking about fascia, okay, not just the muscle, but fascia as well. So we're going to talk about those. So in regards to lactic acid, I'm just going to bring up a few notes that I put around, put on here. Okay, so why do we need lactic acid buildup? A lot of people are like, oh, I've got lactic acid buildup. They think it's a bad thing, but it's not. It's actually a good thing because with lactic acid, testosterone and growth hormone basically increase during lactic acid buildup, and this is what also allows you to have that environment for growth, for hypertrophy. The amount of growth hormone, basically, and I'm just going to read this out to you. The amount of growth hormone released in lactic acid training can be up to 9 times the amount produced under normal circumstances. So your GH levels are drastically increasing during this type of training. And what type of training that is? It's basically just shorter rest times and a lot of volume. Again, a lot of pump. So you want to achieve that pump, you want to have that short rest interval, and you want to maximize that lactic acid buildup. Again, I'm not saying that this is the best way to train. Some people prefer longer rest periods. Current science also says that 3-minute rest is more ideal for hypertrophy because you can then lift the same amount of weight that you've done in the first set or second set. So 3-minute rating for 3 minutes in between sets is optimal. But again, it all boils down to your volume. It's how much tension is on that muscle throughout that session. Tension on the muscle, I'm talking about not just in one set, but I'm talking about throughout the whole session, throughout those 15, 20 rep sets that you're doing. You need that tension on the muscle. You need to create pump. And again, if you rest for 1 minute or if you're resting for 3 minutes, that's totally up to you. You can try all of those and see which one works best for you. Again, everyone's different. So, as I said, lactic acid buildup is very important for growth hormone and testosterone. Okay, and it also goes well with the increasing of the pump, requiring the pump and requiring the nutrients in there and everything else. So they go hand in hand, the pump and the lactic acid. Now, we talked about mechanical stress before. Mechanical stress means that the weight still has to be enough to elicit some growth. So currently they're saying the science is advocating for 30 to 90% of your 1RM repetition max. So that means that higher rep range and lower rep range work really well. If you use BFR bands, blood flow restriction bands, you can actually grow with 20% of your repetition maximum. So that's very, very low loading, high amount of repetitions. Again, I say keep the 30 to 90% RM in terms of your growth. I prefer to work, with 12 to 15 repetition range, which means that I might be working at maybe 50% RM, something like that, maybe 45, sometimes more, sometimes less. Again, vary it. As long as I have the volume, as long as there's volume in my workout, that's all that matters. Now, not many people pay attention to the fascia. Not many people mention fascia health. Okay. Now, I don't know if you guys heard of anterior compartment syndrome, with people that their calf muscle becomes so tight that the fascia cannot expand and the muscle cannot go anywhere. So they have to cut so they can release that. So they have to cut the fascia basically. Fascia needs to grow as the muscle grows. Fascia needs to expand. Some people have trouble expanding their fascia. Some people have trouble, having fascia to go along with the muscle building. So that can be an issue. A healthy fascia means that it's going to be stretching at the same rate where the muscle grows as well. So how do we increase the fascia health? Well, one, we supplement with collagen. So that can be just gummy bears and whatnot, or supplementation or anything like that. So collagen is very, very important in fascia health, and also fascia can help you. If good fascia and healthy fascia can allow you and give you more room, so to say, to grow muscle. Another way of training fascial training is basically just doing repetition and end ranges. So we're talking about, let's say you're doing a bicep curl. Okay, the beginning movement, beginning way of where you're starting, your starting position, basically starting position of your bicep curl, you're just maybe bringing it up to maybe 35 degrees, and you're just doing that. So basically you're stretching the muscle and just providing that tension maybe at 35 degrees. So for example, when you're doing a full bicep curl, okay, so let's say you've done 10 repetitions of those, you might then do end range movement to maximize that stretch, to maximize the fascia. So same with triceps or quads or anything like that. Currently, science has found that end range, which is the stretch position of your movement, is very, very important, and it's very, very important for growth. But also, obviously, and how it's important for growth, well, it also allows the fascia to stretch as well. So, very important things. Currently, we're talking about the rep ranges. Like I said, 30 to 90% RM. Okay, that's your, you can grow. You need a pump, so you want to chase that pump. Doesn't matter what it is, how many repetitions you're doing, as long as you're doing volume, and you will achieve that pump as well with supplements, obviously. So supplements can help you achieve that. VFR bands can help you achieve that as well. Blood flow restriction. We're also talking about lactic acid buildup. Shorter rest intervals, increasing that pump, trying to make sure that you put that to the test. Fascial stretch, fascial health, collagen supplementation, stretch range movements. Again, all scientifically found to be working now currently. I mean, science is always evolving, but I've actually found that this is working for me as well. So try that out. A couple of other things. I don't know if I've covered everything. Let me see. Mechanical stress. Yes, mechanical stress. As I said, load still needs to be heavy for you to, elicit some of growth. Okay, so the muscle needs to be under some form of stress. So you need to have that tension on the muscle for you to grow. Otherwise, there's no point of training. Okay, so again, if it's, if you're doing 20 repetitions, you're obviously going to need to be exhausted by then. Or if you're doing 8 repetitions, you're going to be exhausted by then. You're going to be increasing the load. And that's where there's not much difference. You're just gonna have just different preference. Do you like doing 15 repetitions, or do you like doing 8 repetitions, or you might actually choose to mix it up. And I definitely like to mix it up. On some days I'll be doing 8 to 10 repetitions, 8 to 12. Sometimes I'll be doing 15 to 20. Again, it all gives me that bit of variety, so I'm not bored as well, and gives me that adaptation to the muscle. Another thing is also very, very important is don't switch up your exercises all the time. Don't invent things too many times. Stick to one thing for a bit longer. So for example, if you're doing an incline dumbbell press, do it the next session, do it the next session after, the next session after. Don't try to create different things too many times. Often people, think that by creating a lot of variety in their programs, they'll get better. But you want to make sure that you have variety in terms of, overload. Okay, so we're talking about overload. So I want to make sure, for example, my program has been the same pretty much the whole, like for example, for 6 months, I've been doing similar exercises. Now, if somebody's using the machine, I might jump onto something else, but the essence of that workout is the same. So, for example, I might do chest workout. My chest workout starts off with a dumbbell press incline. Okay, then the next exercise is flies. Then the next exercise is another press, and then I might do a flies with intraset stretching. I'm not going to talk about intraset stretching now, but like that's another topic. Again, those are the movements that I do. Now, it might be that instead of a incline dumbbell press, I might be doing, incline machine press, because all the benches have been taken. Again, essence of my workout is the same. Repetitions are there, but how I overload by either resting more and doing heavier loads, or I'll rest less and do high repetitions. Again, vary it in that sense. Maybe doing a few extra sets, maybe doing less sets and more load. Again, you want to overload your muscle every time you come into the gym. You want to make sure you do that. I'm not going to even talk about your nutrition. That's not even discussed. You know you need to increase your protein intake. You know you need to increase your dietary protein, especially the animal protein, to maximize your growth. So that without saying. But you need to understand that everyone's different. Like I said, everybody is different, and everybody is going to respond differently to your workouts. Some people prefer one thing over another, but I definitely need to suggest something. Pay attention to what your muscle is feeling. Okay, if you connect your mind to your muscle and you feel those contractions and you feel the tension on the muscle, that's what you need to achieve. Somebody shows you an exercise and you don't feel anything, you don't feel the contractions, you don't feel anything, that exercise may not be for you. Everyone has their own, body levers and muscle attachments, short muscle, long muscle attachments, and everything else. Everyone's different. So you're gonna create an exercise routine that works best for you and has the best amount of muscle tension for you, not for everyone else. Positioning of the hands where they're sitting, and positioning of everything, as long as it's safe, as long as you're not doing something silly, there's no right or wrong form. It's just the form that suits you and suits your body to maximize your growth. I think we've covered everything now. 2023, this is my first video, guys, so sorry it's been all over the place, but I'm trying to get into the rhythm, and trying to give you more knowledge on growth and everything else. Obviously, we're going to be talking about supplements and everything else, what's out there. If anyone is going to be enhanced or natural, we're going to cover all those topics. We're also going to be covering topics about men's health, also covering topics on Crohn's disease, because I've been suffering Crohn's for the past 4 years. It wasn't fun, but you gotta make it work. So we're gonna be basically covering all the topics, and hopefully this time I stay on track and I start doing more videos for you guys. I thank you for watching. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe, and I will see you guys